All right, we are moving on to bird number 3. And this one has, this one is a song and a call, so you get a little leg up. All right, group number 1, bird number 3. All right, that was bird number 3 of group number 1. Let's move on to group 1, bird number 4. And that bird obviously makes quite a variety of vocalizations. That's probably the most common one. That was bird number 4. All right, this is the final bird of group 1. So this is bird number 5 of group 1. Okay, that was the end of group 1. So go ahead and get ready to type in the chat. What was bird number 1 of group 1? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and just dictate the answers out. Yes, very good, Mary. The first, yes, the bird number 1 was a yellow warbler. Very good to all who guessed it. And that one was a little tricky because there are quite a few warblers that sound similar. But just the directness and how punctuated each of those notes is, yeah, good for a yellow warbler. 2 is a song sparrow. Number 2 is a song sparrow. And that one's a little tricky because it was a different region than Arizona. So they sound different from state to state. And even from parts of, like the song sparrows in Flagstaff are very different than the ones in the Verde Valley. Great for all who are guessing. Number 3 is an American robin. Spot on. One of our most common birds at certain times of the year. Number 4 is the common raven. Pretty identifiable by that one extremely recognizable croak vocalization. And number 5 is a house finch. So if you would like to share how many out of 5 you got correctly, go ahead and do so. If you'd like to keep it to yourself, that's a viable option as well. Okay, we're getting ready to move on to group number 2. Good job, everybody. Even if you just got 1, you're doing great. And this is also in part a learning exercise, right? So maybe something will, I was refreshed on quite a few calls. All right, we're moving on to group number 2. Group number 2 starts with this friend found in marshy and riparian areas. And another hint for bird number 1 of group 2 is I've seen this bird maybe twice in my life, but I've heard it countless times. They're almost impossible to sight because of the habitat that they're in. So that was group number 2, bird number 1. And number 2 is a little trickier, but pay attention to the whole call, and maybe that will help. Here is bird number 2 for group number 2. So maybe you heard, I don't know, 11 or so different phrases. That may be a hint for you. Exactly, Jenny, right on. All right, so this is group number 2, bird number 4. Oh no, sorry, bird number 3. Group 2, bird number 3. Oops, wrong one, sorry. Group number 2, bird number 3. All right, we'll do another call. And a hint for this one is all of the North American calls on All About Birds for this bird are from the state of Arizona. All right, that one may be a little trickier, but only found essentially in the Southwest, the really southernmost parts of the country. All right, here is our, oh boy, okay. Here is our 4th bird in our 2nd group. Bird number 4, group number 2. And that is another southwestern bird or a very southern bird. And we have seen a lot, exactly, Jerry. We've seen lots and lots of those over the last few days. It's probably one of our most numerous sightings at this point over the course of the festival so far. All right, the final bird of group number 2, which is bird number 5. This one's a little tricky, so I'm going to go ahead and play another song of a different subspecies of the same species. So once again, this is group number 2, bird number 5. All right, let us get into the answer. So bird number 1, a bird found in the marsh, is a marsh wren. Yes, great, Mary. Bird number 2, the bird with the many different phrases that it repeats a variable amount of times, but like about in phrases of 2 to 5, depending on the individual. It's a northern mockingbird. Great, I saw a couple people. Yeah, great job, Mary. And number 3 is a ladder-backed woodpecker. So that was the hint about it being just in the south, just in the southwest of the country, and all of the calls from Arizona. Number 4 is the Gila woodpecker, which, right, exactly, Mary. When I first heard the Gila woodpecker here, I was really confused and was sure they were northern flickers also. Turns out that they're closely related, which is why they sound so similar. So the Gila woodpecker, which we've been hearing a ton of this festival. So I would have had a leg up on that one because we heard a lot of them this morning. And the last is the yellow rump, which sounds a lot like the Lucy's. So great job on that one, Mary. Yes, the yellow-rumped warbler. And I just played the Audubon's subspecies, and that was another hint, is that we have a myrtle and an Audubon's yellow-rumped warbler. And they sound pretty similar, but what we have in Arizona more often is the Audubon's. So if you got none right, great. If you got 5 right, great. Go ahead and share with us how many you did. If you would like to, you may also keep it to yourself. Nice job, Jerry. Great job, Diane. Okay, we're moving on to group number 3. And looking at group number 5 is a little sadistic, so we may do some other species. Great. Okay. Bird. We're doing group number 3. So if you're just joining us, label a piece of paper, number 1 to 5. This is group number 3. And this is the first bird. A hint for this bird is that we have seen it every day of the festival so far, and we've also, I think, heard it every day. I may be a little off on that. All right, group number 3. This is bird number 1. Oh, that's all we get? Okay, let's play that again. All right, that was bird number 1. And bird number 1 and bird number 2 sound somewhat similar, but there is a tell for how to tell them apart. So if you're familiar with both of these species but are not sure which is which, just wait. Bird number 2 is coming in hot. All right, this is bird number 2 of group 3. I love that song. That's one of my favorite species. That doesn't give anything away. But I just think they're wonderful. All right, that was bird number 2. Get ready for group 3, bird number 3. And these are all of the birds that I'm playing for group 3 we have seen and heard this morning. I'm going to go ahead and play, if I can find another song from that species. Well, that's their call. It's not super helpful, but a little bit. And I'll play that song one more time. And again, this is bird 3 of group 3. Okay, that was bird number 3. Here is bird number 4 of group 3. Group 3, bird number 4. Okay, let's play that once more. All right, the final bird of group 3. Here is bird 5 of group 3. Another one of my very most favorite Western birds. I just love, love, love that bird. Let's hear it once more because I think the song is fun. Great. Okay, so here we are, group 3. Let's start at the start. Bird number 1. A frequently observed bird over the course of our virtual festival is the summer tanager. That's bird number 1. We saw quite a few of those. Yes, great, Jenny. And 2 sounds similar, but is a lot more percussive and rapid. And it also, this species always calls with the same rhythm. It's always consistent. It always kind of has the same pacing and rhythm for its notes. That is the black-headed grosbeak. Bird number 2 is the black-headed grosbeak, which we heard really clearly. I'm not sure if we saw this morning or not, but we heard really clearly at one point this morning. The third bird, which sounds like a yellow warbler and kind of like a yellow rumped and kind of like the Lucy's, but it isn't, is a lazuli bunting. One of our most beautiful birds this time of year. We got quite a few of those. Bird number 4, which is a new bird for me, so it's kind of tricky in my eyes, is the Lucy's warbler, which sounds a lot like some of the other closely related warblers. But is like a little bit more melodic in the way that the male sings. Each of the notes varies a little bit in length, whereas a yellow warbler is sweet, 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 a little more sweet. Each of the sweets is the same length. The Lucy's is a little bit more mutable with the calls that they do in the songs. And the last is one of my favorite species, is the bullock sporeal. The bullock sporeal. So that was bird number 5. So we had summer tanager, black-headed grosbeak, lazuli bunting, Lucy's warbler, and bullock sporeal, which we encountered all this morning. So that's a really colorful bunch. All right, let's look at number 4. 4 may be dangerous territory. Okay, let's go for it. This one's a little challenging. All of the birds in this category appear similarly in the air. That was an 0 for 5 group. Sorry, everybody. I maybe could have gotten a couple more common species. I started getting a little tricky with ones that sound similar. So this is going to be a challenging category, but it's one that I'm personally working on, so that's why I threw it in. Great job, Mary, 2. That's awesome. Okay, so this is category 4, I guess group number 4. This is bird number 1. I just love that call. And I love the species. They're magnificent. So they have been observed in years past, probably not where we're birding. This species is not found at Dead Horse. It's found close to the tops of very tall cliffs is where you're most likely to see it flying. All right, that was bird number 1 of group number 4. Here is this. You don't often hear this call, but you will hear it in flight. There's a chat from someone. Okay, great. So once again, all of the birds in this category, oh, it's quite a long recording. All the birds in this category resemble one another in appearance, although they're not necessarily genetically related. And this species, a hint for this species is that often found in human structures, specifically outdoor areas. It's pretty common in those areas. Laura, do you have a question? Okay, thanks for joining us, Laura. See you bright and early tomorrow morning. All right, this is bird number 3 of group 4. And again, this is a similar looking bird to the other birds in this category, and we did encounter this one this morning. So a hint for that one is that you don't often hear that call, but you see the species pretty frequently. We saw them this morning at Dead Horse. Really common in riparian areas. They make nests out of mud. Okay, here's bird number 4 of group number 4. And that species is named for where it nests. I just love that call. It's seldom heard, well, more frequently than the previous one. And once again, all the birds in this category resemble one another in appearance. And here is the 5th and final bird of category 4. Okay, that was bird number 5. All right, so starting us off, what was the category? What do all those birds have in common? Can anyone group them together? Yeah, very good. The category is swallows and swifts, which is why maybe some of those calls are unfamiliar to people. They're it's easy to group them together, but when you listen to them individually, it becomes clear that there's really big differences between each of them. So I just think it's an interesting group. So the first bird is one of my favorite species, the white-throated swift, found the tops of cliffs. Owl, nice, Jenny. The second bird is the barn swallow. Our third bird in that category is the northern rough-winged swallow, which we saw pretty prominently this morning at a couple places. Our fourth bird was a tree swallow. And the last in that category was the violet-green swallow. So maybe this will be the push for those who are learning this stuff to revisit the swallow and swift category. Because I find when I'm looking at a huge cloud of swallows all flying together, it can be really hard to figure out what species are in that flock. And through learning to identify the calls and songs of the swallows, I found it much, much easier than just looking, because there's so much action and they tend to be far away. Oh, nice. By guess only. That's pretty funny. Cool. All right, here's our last group, which I think isn't quite as bad as group number 4. So this is group number 5. All right, we're ready for group 5. This is the first bird of group 5. So group 5, bird number 1. Was that it? Okay, we'll do it again. And here's another call. All right, that was our first bird in group number 5. I'm not sure we got those this morning, but we've gotten them in the last few days. And that species is just all over the place in the Verde Valley. They're everywhere and often found further south as well. All right, this is bird number 2 of group number 5. All right, that was our second bird of the 5th group. And here comes bird number 3 of group number 5. This is one of my favorite species. Found more, they're associated with open grasslands and sagelands. And I think they kind of sound like an 18-wheeler going down a hill and shifting gears. I'll play that song again so you can hear that. Do you hear the shifting gears? All right, that was our third bird of our 5th category. And here comes bird number 4. Okay, that was bird number 4 of group 5. And here is our last one. I figured, give everybody something that they have a good shot of identifying for the last one. So here's our last bird. Okay, all right, group number 5. Our first bird was the great-tailed grackle, very familiar to those of you who live in the Verde Valley. Our second bird was the green-tailed towhee, found at a little higher elevation, but sometimes in the Verde Valley, and they've been seen, I think, every year of the festival. The third bird is the brewer sparrow, found in open grasslands, often in sagelands. Our fourth bird was the yellow-headed blackbird, common in marshlands, and often found in mixed flocks with the 5th bird, the red-winged blackbird. So if you got none over the course of this quiz, that's great. Hopefully you learned something. If you got a bunch, that's great. Hopefully you learned something also. If you'd like to tally up your total score, you're welcome to do so. No one's keeping score here. Thanks so much for joining us on this first test. Hopefully it went smoothly for everybody. This is the first time we've done this. So, and yes, please tune into our concert. Would folks like me to post the link to the event page? Would that be helpful? Okay, let me do that. I'll grab that right now. Still in the Hill is going to be playing us a concert, which was a concert that was going to be performed at the festival itself, but unfortunately had to be canceled. So graciously, the band has decided to do a live stream for us, which is just lovely. Okay, here is the link. Great. Well, thanks everybody so much for joining. I hope you had some fun. Hope you learned something. And we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for our final morning of virtual birding. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. So take care. Thank you. Be safe. Have a good day.